Hey guys, welcome to this live session by Intellipaat. So in this session, we'll be learning about Microsoft Azure, its fundamentals, basically why Azure, what is Azure, some services in Azure, then we'll look at various factors in Azure, then finally we'll also do a quick demo in Azure so that you can get a better idea about what exactly is Azure. So now let's look at the agenda for today's session. So first we'll learn why Azure and then what is Azure. And then we'll look at some Azure services, and after that we'll also look at the certification path you can take up if you're learning Azure. And then we'll do a quick demo on app service, because in the last session for Microsoft Azure we did a demo of hosting an application on a virtual machine which is hosted on Microsoft Azure. So in this session we are doing another service on Microsoft Azure which is called app service, and we'll be hosting a Hello World application on that. And finally we'll look at we'll discuss more about Azure, so how to get started with Azure and your career. So now let's get started with this session. First, why Azure? So you might be thinking that why there are so many different cloud providers, so why should I choose Azure? So there is Amazon Web Services, which is the #1 cloud provider, and there is Google Cloud, and Google is one of the biggest names in the internet industry. And then there is IBM Cloud, there is Oracle Cloud, there is VMware, there is Ali Cloud. I can still name a lot. There are so many different cloud providers. But why to choose Azure? So that's what we are going to see with some facts so that you can get the idea better. So first, numbers don't lie, statistics don't lie, because statistics and numbers are derived from real factors or real numbers which is currently taking place or have taken place. So first is, every year Microsoft is investing $1 billion in Azure for research and development to bring in more services. So when you bring in more services, obviously the learning experience will get bigger, and companies using Azure will get higher and higher, so that the job opportunities also will increase. So this is one side. Also, they have 3,500 security experts. So two things you'll have to take away from here is Azure is a very secure cloud infrastructure. Second, Azure invests a lot of money in their cloud service. And second one is, there are 100+ different types of services. There are services which you can use for AI, for ML, for hosting your web application, for hosting your mobile application, to host your database online. So for everything there is a service on Azure. And finally, this is one of the biggest number which you can come across, that according to Fortune and Forbes, 95% of Fortune 500 companies are using Azure for their business needs, not the whole infrastructure, but at least one service for their needs. So this is a staggering number. And moving on, what do you get? So I've stated some facts, I've stated some numbers which are huge for Microsoft Azure. So now what do you get if you get started with Azure? So let's say you might be thinking, so if I start with Azure, I'll have to pay for those services to practice. So it's not like that. So when you get started with a cloud provider, they provide you free services for marketing purposes. So what do you get free when you take up Azure, when you create an account in Azure, is you get 12 months of popular free services like virtual machines, SQL databases. These services you get for free for a period of 12 months. And then you are given 13,300 credit. Basically, this credit amount is for you to explore the Azure services. There are so many other services, AI, ML services, but they are not for free. So those services, to use those services, you can use this credit amount. So you don't need to pay anything. If there is any charge, it will automatically be deducted from this credit, but this credit is only available for a month. And finally, always free. There are 25+ services which are always free in Microsoft Azure, which you can use it until you die. So basically, if you create an account right now, you can use it until you're not going to use it again. So there are a few services which are always free. You can go ahead and check it in the Azure's website, because that the services which are free or not free keep on changing. So moving ahead, So what can you do with your Azure account? Again, there are so many things you can do. As I told you, you can host your mobile applications, you can run softwares which basically gather information about your business, you can run data analysis, you can run some big data algorithms, machine learning algorithms, you can test your applications online, you can Basically you can create a complete environment where you host your application. So entire application needs, you can use Azure to solve that. So basically you can host your website, you can have a database, you can have a cache, you can have a place where you basically a repository Microsoft has, and you can basically create a pipeline using Azure DevOps. So you can basically create an entire company's software lifecycle using Azure. Moving ahead, so again, there are 12 AI services which are free. So there is the service called Azure Cognitive Services, and you can use that for free for 12 months. And so if anybody right now are learning AI or ML or want to learn AI or ML, you can start off with AI and ML and then go ahead and learn Azure. So you don't need to learn Azure completely, you just need to learn the services which are for AI on Azure. And then one more stat I wanted to show is that why Azure in the sense. So AWS was already a huge firm in the cloud provider industry. So you can see that they were at 35% in 2016. You can see that over here. And Microsoft Azure was just 8%. And right now, AWS is at 47 and Azure is at 22%. This is the data of last year provided by Gartner and Goldman Sachs. So this is last year's data. Still, it might be increasing right now. It might have gone up. So the one stat you can take away from here is the growth of AWS around 4 years is 12%, and the growth of Azure around 4 years is 14%. So to be fair, Azure is the fastest growing cloud provider. So if it is the fastest growing cloud provider, so if you learn with it, you can also grow with it. So this is what I wanted to share with you. So why to choose Azure? So moving on, one more fact I wanted to share is the average salary of an Azure solutions architect, because anyway, the final product is going to be getting a job in that profile. So to give you some motivation, you will get a nice amount of money. It's not always about the money, it's about what work you do. So if it is about the money, then in USA you get an average of $100,000 per annum. In the UK you get 67,000 pounds per annum, and in India the average is 17 lakhs per annum for an Azure solutions architect. For this particular profile, there are various profiles like Azure developer, there is Azure administrator, there is Azure DevOps engineer. So there are various job roles, and the salary differs with each and every job role. But for this particular job role, it is 17 LPA, and this data is gathered from glassdoor.com. You can check that by yourself. So moving ahead, so now we saw why you should choose Azure. Now let us see what is Azure. So to be very simple, Azure is owned by Microsoft. That's why it's called Microsoft Azure. And then what exactly is the purpose of Microsoft Azure is that they provide services via internet. That is, they provide services through the internet to you, which are basically impossible for a normal person to create by himself. So you cannot basically buy 100 computers, set up and launch services in that and give them basically rent them. So you cannot do it as a single person, because to buy 100 computers you'll have to invest a lot, then you'll have to invest a lot of time into configuring them. But the same thing Azure does, because they already have capital. They will invest in data centers. They create secure data centers for their cloud provider, which is Azure. So basically, when you want to create a virtual machine, you are creating a virtual machine in Azure's data center, which is lying somewhere. So you'll have to choose the region. So let's say I'm choosing Central US. So your particular virtual machine will be running in a data center which is in Central US. So you'll not know exactly where it is, but it is running somewhere in Central US. So you can access that server running in Central US from your system which has internet connectivity. So that is the basic explanation for Microsoft Azure. And then, so I wanted to give a furthermore simple detail for looking at it. So you are the user. So basically you have internet connectivity and your laptop, you click on some services and you're trying to access it. Once you do that, basically it goes through the internet. There are some protocols which happens. So there are some code which will be running in the backend. And then, so let's say you're launching a virtual machine. So there is an Azure data center in a region which you select. So when you click on create, so the process will run in the data center. It will create and it will give the access to you, but not the access to the data center, but only to the virtual machine which is running inside a server in that data center. So you get access to only that virtual machine and you only pay for that virtual machine. So right now you don't need to buy 100 computers and set them up. You just need to know how to use Azure, and just with a few clicks you can basically launch 100 servers. So again, there are 54 regions worldwide for Azure. So you can see that over here. There are 54 regions. You can check that in Azure's official website. So why I'm showing this is that if you are trying to move your business, or if you're trying to learn Azure or any cloud provider, first you will have to know whether how many regions they have, because sometimes businesses want to expand across the globe. So when a business wants to do that, so if a cloud provider, so let's say you have your application hosted on Azure, and your particular application, you have hosted it on a data center in India, so in all the 3 data centers available in India. So now you want to move your business to US as well, as you are getting a lot of hits from US. So what you can do is you can simply migrate your application into a data center in US with, again, a few clicks. So this is why people prefer cloud rather than an on-premise setup, because if it is an on-premise setup where you have all the servers and you are using that, so again, if you want to shift to US, then you'll have to get a space, you'll have to again buy servers, you'll have to set it up, you'll have to run your application, do all the patching and monitoring. So this takes a lot of time, so that's why Azure is successful. So we saw why and what. Now let us look at some services, and then we'll look at certification, then move on to the demo. So there are various Azure services, but the main thing you want to know, you will have to know, is that what kinds of services they provide. So they provide compute services, they provide web and mobile services. So basically web and mobile services in the sense, to host your mobile application, you can use mobile apps. To host a website, you can use web application. To just run basically a backend code, whenever there is a trigger, you can use logic apps. If you want to use API, you can go with API applications. And then coming down, you have analytics and IoT. So you can see you have a data factory, you have machine learning services, you have Hadoop services. And then media and CDN, you have a content delivery network. So basically, if you're trying to create a streaming platform or a platform like YouTube, which has a lot of video or multimedia content, you can basically use this CDN to store in all your data, or you can basically use this as the front for your application. And then there are still so many services. So you can see there is a data warehouse which you can use for analytics. There is an SQL database which you can basically use for if you need a database for your application which has to be a SQL database, then you can go ahead and use that. And then there are still a lot of services, but few main services you will have to know are I would say web apps, then storage queues, then these are not important. Basically, if you're into analytics and IoT, you can learn them. But if you just want to learn the cloud service, these are not important. But services like compute, cloud services, virtual machines, so web and mobile services, so developer services, SDK, then Visual Studio, then SQL databases, data warehouses, tables, and then load balancers. Virtual network is very important. And then DNS and Azure Files, blob storage. So you'll also have to know storage, and you can see here virtual machines. So these are very important services you will have to know. So I'll just give a few examples. Virtual machines are one of the most commonly used services on Azure or any other cloud provider. So you can basically launch a virtual machine on Azure. It is the same as launching a local virtual machine in your system using Oracle VirtualBox or VMware. So you can do that. But the same thing is happening, but it's hosted on Azure data center, and you are just given the access to view that and work on that. That's it. And then web application, this is what we are going to do today, the demo on web apps. We'll do that. So then blob storage, where you can basically store all type of binary data. Azure Files, you can again store files, various kinds of files. tables is basically again, it's a table storage where you can store in particular records. And then there is DocumentDB. DocumentDB is a NoSQL database where you can create tables and store data in JSON format. So these are some services. So you can go ahead and start learning the simplest services, or you can go ahead and start learning off with web apps, which I'm going to teach you in this session. But one thing, before starting off with Azure, create an account before trying to do something, because without an account you cannot do anything. First create an account and then you can start off with this. But I'm not going to go deeper into this because we have a complete Azure course on our YouTube channel. If you want to have an in-depth knowledge about these services, you can go ahead and watch that video after this live. So moving ahead, there are, as I told you, there are free services in Azure. There is Linux virtual machines, Windows virtual machines, managed disks. Basically it is a storage, SQL database, file storage, and then blob storage. You can see these are all the free numbers. You can basically get a SQL database with 250 GB of space free in Azure. So you can basically host if you're a small time businessman who is having a website which needs an SQL database, you can basically run your website on virtual machines and you can have the database as the SQL database for free totally. So these are some free services. There are still a lot of free services, but for that you'll have to go and look at it. So now Azure certification, this is one of the important things, because these add value when you go to an interview for an Azure role as an admin or as a let's say a solutions architect or a developer. Whichever role you go, a certification will add value. So how can you go ahead and start learning, or which certification you can take up? So first is Azure Fundamentals. Basically it is optional, but I would not suggest you to go and do the certification Azure Fundamentals, because it's basically not of any use. You cannot show that certificate in an interview, and it will not add value, because it's not any particular a certification. It's just a fundamental of Azure, what it is and how it works and all. So I would suggest you to go ahead with an associate certification, or go ahead with an Azure Solutions Architect Expert certification. So first, Azure Administrator. Basically, as an Azure Administrator, you will have to know how to provision servers, how to maintain them, how to monitor them, and yeah, basically an admin job, but over the cloud. And then Azure Developer. So Azure Developer is again a software developer role, but you create applications on the cloud, or you create applications for the cloud. So basically you create an application which is compatible to run on a cloud service. So that's what makes you an Azure developer. So why you'll have to do this certification is because you should understand how Azure works. Only then you can create an application which will run on Azure without any problems. So that is one certification. And if you have completed any one of the associate certifications, or if you have completed the Azure Solutions Architect certification, you can go ahead and do the DevOps engineer if you want to move your career to DevOps. So one more is Azure Solutions Architect, which is the most popular course or most popular certification in Azure or any other cloud provider. So you can maybe think it's an expert certification, but again, it's the same learning process of how you're going to learn and for an associate certification. So I would suggest you to take up this if you're more into Azure. If you want to learn a lot of things in Azure, you can go ahead and start preparing for Azure Solutions Architect. So this is the path. Basically, you can I would suggest you can choose between 3 certifications: Solutions Architect, Administrator, and Developer. So go ahead and choose wisely. And okay guys, we've come to the demo part. We saw why, what is, and some services, and also the certification path. Now we'll do a quick demo. We'll create an application service on which there will already be a demo website hosted on, and then in that particular app service we will override it with another application which I already have the simple HTML code for. So I'll open so this is the portal. This is how the portal looks, and you can see there are some services, and this is how the portal will look once you've created your Microsoft account and you have logged into your Azure account. So this is how the portal is going to look. So you can see there are the services over here, or if you want you can basically search the services over here, and you get a PowerShell. Then this is the notification tab, then there is a settings tab, and so this is the tab where you can look at your Microsoft account. So we'll start off with the demo. So I'm going to do app services. First, let me explain what is an app service. So I've clicked on it. So once I've clicked on app services, it takes me to this page where you can see there is the name of it is web app. So I'm going to home. Okay, so now you can see there is an already and demo application running. So first I'll show you what is going to be the default output. Because it's already running, I'll just show you the output and then I'll create a service. So I think it's running. Okay, so this is the default website, and this is what I'm going to create again. But once I've created, I'm going to change this particular web page with my web page, so I can show you how you can host a static website using Microsoft App Service. So going ahead, I'm going to go back and click on add. So once you click on add, you get this particular form where you fill up your details. So it's called web application because it's a website which you're going to host. First, when you create an account, you will be given a subscription. So a subscription is what is an account which has your credits. So I have a subscription called Azure for Students. So let it be. So next, resource group is one of the important things. So why resource groups? In the sense, creating a resource group is very easy. So you can just enter the name and create. Now, why resource groups? In the sense, let's say you are creating 10 virtual machines, 2 SQL databases, 5 app services. So you are creating a lot of different services and a lot of different resources. So now if you create all of them under one resource group, you don't need to go and track every single service. You just have to open the resource group, and under that resource group, you can see all the resources which got created. So that's why you need a resource group. So now I already have two. I've basically created it. So I'll just click on one, resource group 1, and now you'll have to provide a name which is unique. So I'm going to give demo application, I think. So you can see if it is a tick, then it's fine, you can go ahead. If it's not showing, you'll have to change your name. And then code, so I want to publish code. You can basically choose a runtime. You can see .NET Core. .NET Core is in the first place because it's Microsoft, and .NET framework is Microsoft, so they want to market their own runtime. That's why they're keeping it at first. Then again, they have ASP.NET. So after that, you see Java, then you see the Tomcat server, you see Node. There are a lot of different runtimes. I'm going to choose PHP for now, and I'm going to go ahead with it. And next thing you'll have to do is choose a region. So this is fine. I'm going to go ahead with Linux. If you want, you can choose Windows. And next thing, you'll have to choose a region. Choose a region which you would like. So, but one thing is that, so you can see now there is a free 1 GB memory of server which I can create. But this is not available in few regions. So let's say I'm in South India. So I'm going to click on South India, but you can see the free option is not available in this particular region. So let's go to dev and test. See, you can see I cannot select free. So in few regions, free plans are not available. So choose a region wisely. So I'm just going to choose East US. And yeah, so next, the next plan. So you don't need to do anything. This will automatically be created when you are new to this. When you created this will automatically get created. So let it be. So next, monitoring. So the thing is, if you're launching an application and if you want to see more insights of that application, like the traffic, the CPU utilization of your server and all, you can just click on yes, and you will get all the required insights. But here, application insights is not supported for the selection of runtime operating system. So basically they are telling that for this free server, you do not have application insights. If it is a better server or if it is a better server and then they will provide this, you can go ahead and choose this. So right now, let's go ahead. And next is tags. So I'm not going to provide any tag. So tags are again to basically track your resource. If I provide name app service 1 or something like that, so I can use app service 1 to track my web application. Next, review and create. So if you click on review and create, it'll take some time and give you this. If it gives you the create button, then you've not done any mistake in providing those details. If there are any mistakes, it will show you. So now I'm just going to click on create, and then it'll show this initializing deployment, submitting deployment. So basically it'll start the deployment process. So you can see it has taken me to a place where it's showing your deployment is underway. But right now the deployment is not created. Basically my web application is not available. So right now, let me go back to app services. So you can see my previously created application is still available. So once this particular application is done created, then you can see another application named as demo application over here. Status will be running, location will be East US, and pricing tier will be free. So let's wait until that gets created. Only if it gets created, then we can go ahead and start off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this HTML code inside that app service so that I can change the default page into my own web server. So also once I do that, I'll explain the difference between an app service and a virtual machine, because the last time we used a virtual machine to host a website, this time I'm using an app service to host a website. So you might be thinking why there are two services to just do the same operation. So basically the main thing is, in virtual machines, if you have created a virtual machines, you handle the whole machine of the what operating system you need, what exactly you have to do. You get the access of the entire machine. But if you have created an app service, you only get this particular URL where you can see the website, and also you can upload content to it using the SSH bar. But you will not be given the control of the entire machine. So that's the difference between app services and virtual machines. So we'll see that. So right now it's still getting created. So you can see it's still going on. Deployment in progress. So obviously guys, it will take some time. So now the deployment is complete. So I'll go to my resource. So demo application, resource group 1, East US, running, and you can see the URL over here. So if I click on URL, if I click on this URL, obviously I should see my sample website running. Otherwise there is no use of this particular app service. So yeah, so now you see my sample website running in the app service. So this basically is running in a server, but you will not be given access to the server, instead only the platform. So you can configure everything from here, and you don't need to even open your machine to configure that. So this particular service is very easy to get started with. That's why I wanted to show this. If anybody, maybe you don't have technical knowledge about cloud computing, you can create an account, and it's just it takes like 5 minutes to create your app service and check this output. I think if you create this and check this output, you will get a better clarity. So now let me show you how this exactly works. So I'll open SSH. Just a second, guys. Sorry. Yeah. So now I'm going to open SSH. So I'm going to SSH into my server, but the thing is, I won't be given access to the server right now. I can only see my server in a website. So basically you can see the host over here connected using SSH. So I think you can see it right now. App service on Linux. I'm not given the permission to access the entire machine, but I have the access enough to change some settings over here. So right now, so now you can see there is a directory called var. So if I enter var, there should be a directory called www, and it's over there. So it's over here. So inside this, there should be a directory called HTML. So guys, so normally when we launch a web server called Apache 2 or Nginx, so it creates some folders inside which the HTML page is running in. So if it is Apache 2, and so it will be inside ware/www/html, and inside that, inside HTML, you can see there is a www root. So this is the folder which is having this particular content. So let me prove that to you. So let me go inside. So you can see there is a file. So there is the file called hostingstart.html inside. So that is this file. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another file called index.html. So normally Apache 2 or any web server will search for a file called index.html or an index file, and it will show that file. So now I'm creating a file called index.html. I'm giving I to insert. I'm copying this content and I'm going to paste it here. So paste it. I'm going to save it and done. So right now, if I refresh this page, what do you think will be shown? Will this sample page be shown or my website? So as I told you, normally a web server will search for your index.html page. So even my web server which is running in my app service is searching for an index.html page, and this is the website which it hosted. So now you have websites, which is this particular application, which is app services, and you have virtual machines. So now what is the difference between them? So you can see the simplest difference is virtual machines, you manage OS plus applications. So even you manage the operating system, you manage monitoring it, you manage maintaining it, you manage updating it, and also the applications which is hosted on your virtual machines. But that's not the case with app services. With app services, Azure will manage your operating system, but you will have to manage only your applications. And one more problem with Azure App Services is that you are restricted to a few runtimes. So as I showed you, you have .NET, you have Node, you have PHP, you have Python, you have ASP.NET, you have Tomcat, you have Docker, but you do not have other runtimes, maybe something like Golang or something else. So that and all you do not have, but if it is a virtual machine, then you can basically install any application you want and use that. So right now, one more thing. What if I delete my index.page? Will nothing be shown, or will my old website will be shown? So again, my old website is being shown. So sorry for the cough. So I think now you can see index.html, how I hosted it, how exactly Azure is hosting your application online. So this is how app services work. So if you are a person without any technical background, so you can go ahead and do Azure App Services within 15 minutes by learning it all by yourself. So I would suggest you start off from this particular live and go ahead and learn Azure. So guys, we've done the demo. Now going back. So now how to get started? So you might be thinking, okay, right now Azure is pretty good, or you already know Azure a little bit, but you don't know how to get started. So I'll give you a few pointers. First one, start off with reading. Reading is a good habit, and reading about a technology you want to know will help you learn it, help you understand it. And then go ahead and watch YouTube tutorials. In our channel, we have complete tutorials of Azure of 9 hours of time, and we have also other split tutorials with small intervals. So you can go ahead and learn from them. And once you've learned that, or if you have enough idea and you want to get a certification before going to write your Azure certification exam, you can go ahead and take up an online training which we provide, which teaches everything you want to know about a particular certification, which is Azure Solutions Architect. So these sessions are taken by industry professionals who are currently working as an Azure Solutions Architect in various different companies. So let me go ahead and show you what exactly are the features of this course, and let us get over with this live session. So right now, if you're having your system, you can basically open the website and you can check out Microsoft Azure Solutions Architect. So it's taking some time to load. Let me just open my website. Might be the address is wrong. Okay, so it opened. Okay, you can see Microsoft Azure Solutions Architect certification training for AZ 300 301. So I'll just introduce you to some key features. One, you get instructor-led training. The instructors are industry professionals who have real-time knowledge about Azure, who have done projects on Azure. Second, self-paced videos. These are recorded again by industry professionals and which are provided for you. These are recorded videos and these are for 22 hours and this is for 28 hours. So basically you get content of 50 hours totally. And also you get projects, exercises around 56 hours of time. And then we provide you certification once you've completed successfully. And again, with certification, if you want to also, if you also need job assistance, we also provide that. And then we have flexible schedule. You can take up this course on a Saturday or a Sunday or even on a weekday. So moving ahead, you can see the content over here, what we are going to teach. We'll be teaching all different kinds of services. You can see create and deploy applications. So what is the Azure App Service? So this is what we saw today. I've shown you something within the course curriculum. So I just showed you how to create it, but I've not went into the depth of it. So if you want to learn it completely, then you can take up this course and start off with Azure. And then we also have a project which we provide. So building in Python and a PostgreSQL application using Azure App Service and then configuring it in a Docker container. So this is the project which we provide, and once you've completed this particular course, you will be provided a certification with the Microsoft Partner Networks logo as well as the signature of Satya Nadella. Because this particular course is in collaboration with Microsoft, we are accredited teachers from, we are accredited by Microsoft, so that we are providing you a certification with the Microsoft's logo on it. So also guys, once you've completed the certification, you can take up Azure Architect Technologies and Design certification, which they are held, which they conduct, and you can clear that easily once you have all the knowledge which you need to clear those certifications. So also one more thing, once you've completed your certification and once you've got your certification in hand, Intellipaat again provides job placements, and we have connections with Ericsson, Cisco, Cognizant, Sony and various other companies, and we can help you getting placed in them. But the only thing is you'll have to put in your effort to clear this particular certification. So you can check it over here. So guys, that's it for this particular session. Going back, so thank you for attending this session. If you have any queries or if you want to know what exactly you want to do with your careers right now, you can basically contact our course advisors who will help you with that, and the numbers are displayed on the screen. And then if you don't want to contact, you can basically send us a mail to sales@intellipaat.com and we'll reply to you as soon as possible. So thank you guys. Thank you for attending my session. Meet you in another session.